Hey, good people, Baldhead Hierophant here. Welcome to my channel. So it has been such a very long time since I've come on and did a one-to-one video with you guys. So for those of you who are new to the channel, hey, hello. I hope that you do choose to subscribe and stay. And for those of you who are returning, welcome back, right? So as I just mentioned, it's been a very long time since I did a video, but I feel the need to come on and chit chat with you guys about a lot of stuff, right? But mainly about tapping in to your own divinity. That's what time it is, y'all, okay? That's what time it's been for a while, but for those of you who are straddling the fence, for those of you who don't quite know what to do with that energy, that fire that you're feeling, so you're kind of 1 foot here, 1 foot there, now is the time. Now is the time. So let's go ahead and jump straight on into this conversation. Okay, so again, welcome everyone who will soon be here to view this video. The calling has already been made, right? And what do I mean when I say that? Many of you have already received what may have felt like an awakening. Okay, it may have came by way of a dream. It could have came by way of an experience, or it could have just been some unsettling vibration within you where you just like, something ain't right about me, something's different now. Or a lot of times it starts with this: you no longer feel the people that you used to feel, whether it be your family, your friends, your partner, whatever. Okay, you really start to feel differently about them, and that's a good thing. Okay, because what's happening is the real is being separated from the fake. So a lot of times, some of the first feelings you will have is, I'm around people who don't feel authentic, or I'm around people who have a hidden agenda. Those type of revelations tend to be some of the first revelations that guide you into tapping in, right? Many of you don't trust that, so you either ignore it or you write it off as, I don't know, oh, maybe it's me, maybe I'm having a bad day. Okay, you write it off as things like that. But what happens is those people or that person will continuously show up doing and being what and who they are, right? And at some point you begin to see a pattern, you begin to see a cycle of behavior out of them, and you no longer feel the same way about them. Okay, now some of you were bold enough to cut them kind of people off, and some of you got to go through a process. Okay, and neither way is wrong, neither way is wrong. It really just kind of depends on your own personal essence and how you handle things. Some people are cutter offers, and then some people like to go through a process of elimination with the person, cut them off a little bit at a time. Okay, so either way, however you have to do it, it's going to get done regardless, because when the universe begins to reveal things to you, when the universe allows you to tap in immensely to your insight, your foresight, and your hindsight, you actually, if you're not dragging your feet, and if you're not afraid, and if you just kind of go ahead and give in to what's happening, you'll go ahead and cut those kind of people off. But again, there are some people who are not. The first word that popped into my mind was ready, but that's not even the word. I really feel like it's a energy of confusion, because you don't quite know what's happening, right? Because 1 foot is here, 1 foot is there. And when I say 1 foot is here, 1 foot is there, some of yourself trusts what you're hearing, what you're being shown, what you see, what you feel. And some of yourself is not centered in clarity. So it will cause you to be splintered, really. Okay, but anyway, I don't want to focus on that too much longer, because I feel like if you're here, then you've probably you're probably, both feet are on the same side, and now you're just trying to walk your path, right? So, but I did want to let you know that that was or is one of the very first signs you just start feeling differently about people, because they can't hide who they are when you're truly tapped in, tuned in, turned on, and connected to you. Okay, so don't be afraid to let people go. And I've mentioned this many, many times before. You don't have to let people go under a hateful way. You can let people go under grace and in perfect ways and send them into the light. Okay. And I'm speaking from so much experience with this. Old me, we're talking prior to 2012. I had my awakening in 2012. When I cut people off, it was nasty. And I wanted them to feel the cut, the burn of me releasing them. As I got onto my path and moved and moved and moved, and I'm clearly a seasoned, wise woman now, I don't have to make any noise as I exit your life. I just kindly and easily and effortlessly, under grace, remove you. And even if you reach out, I'm going to respond. But allowing you back into my life, in my personal space, in my biosphere, you'll never get that opportunity again, ever. But will I be nasty? For what? No, because you don't have any direct connection to my emotions no more. I saw what I needed to see, or I heard what I needed to hear, or I felt what I needed to feel to release you and to send you back into your own energy. So that's very, very important, y'all. Very important to know when it's time to cut people off. Because I'm going to tell you something. You can't, that's almost like a boulder in the way on your journey. You will not be able to move any further until you get entities and energies and frequencies that are not conducive to where you're going. You got to get them off your path. So it's almost like they will block your path. Imagine you walking down a street and you come upon all of these people that are arms locked on the street. You can't go around them, you can't go over them, you can't go under them, and you can't go through them. So you got to deal with each person that would represent, whatever to you. You got to deal with each thing until you knock them off. Okay, so that's pretty much what people who are in your world that just can't go with you onto this new journey represent. Okay, each of those people, if you imagined that, each of those people would be representatives of something that you would have to face head on for it to dissolve, so you could go on to the next thing. Because eventually you'll work your way to each person, this representative, until it's cleared, so you can move on down your path. Right. All right. So the next thing I want to discuss is, and this is hard for a lot of people. I have consulted with so many people, and this is the part that they get hung up on, and they get hung up on it for years. When you realize that you can't take your loved ones with you, when you realize that there are people that you love, there are people that you adore, but they just can't go to this next level of your life with you. Now, does that mean they're not a part of those people that you have to cut off? That just means that discussing what you're learning, discussing what you're tapping, discussing what you now understand in its totality and it's your lifestyle, discussing that with those people, if that's not where they're at, can't do that. And what's going to happen is you're going to evolve. And as you evolve, you're going to want to reach down and pull these people with you, but they can't go. And it's so many ways that you're going to find out that they can't go. It's going to come, it projects differently. Some of the projection is going to look like them thinking that you're crazy. Some of the projection is going to look like them thinking that you worship the devil. You're into witchcraft. You are a Luciferian. You're on drugs. Because they're not going to understand. They haven't awakened. They may never awaken. And no matter how much you've tried to reach back and teach them, they're not grasping it because it's not time for them to grasp it, or they may never grasp it. And it is that defining moment that causes you to have to make a decision. Do I continue to cast my pearls to the swine, because at this point they would be the swine, because you have knowledge and understanding and metaphysical knowings and thoughts that they don't even know exist. So when you try to teach them these things, when you try to feed them as you've been fed and they reject it, it's not going to look or feel the same. Yet you're still going to want to continue. So one of the main things that I continuously tell people is you have to practice the art of detachment. You have to practice the art of detachment. Not everyone wants to, and not everyone can come with you once you say yes to your journey. And that's just that on that. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. I consulted a guy, or he consulted with me, but I guided, assisted him. And one of the things that made me have to back up from him was he continuously spoke on how he had to save his family. I gotta save my family. I gotta save my family. So he would force feed his information onto them, and they would throw it back. Then he would get angry, and then some of the old traits of him would come out. And I told him, I said, listen, when they throw that information back and say we don't want that, or they challenge it, or they deny it because it's not where they want to be, and you get mad and you step out of the new version of you to go back to an old version of you, that just shows me that you haven't really acclimated to the new you. Because if them denying your information can easily trigger you to go back to a version of you that you should have shedded, then to me, it's an implication that you may be dealing with some inauthenticity. You may not be as real as you think or say that you are. Because if somebody tells you no to something that you're trying to give them, and it makes you act in a way that is not conducive to who you claim you are you really are who you say you are? Because self-mastery is one of the accolades that you get on your journey. You see what I'm saying? You shed certain traits as you walk your path. And if one of your traits causes you to act how you used to act, then hey, you may need to reconsider how far down the path you are on, because you may not be as far down the path as you think. And that could be the very reason that your family is not receptive to what you're trying to feed them, because maybe they still really see that version of you that you thought you had shedded. You thought it was gone, but they can still see that. And that's who they're responding to. Maybe you are not to them who you say you are, because you really haven't shedded old you. So, he got angry at me for pointing that out. But sometimes anger comes before true acknowledgement. Now, eventually, he did acknowledge that he did have some things that he still needed to work on, as we all do, right? As we all do. That's what the whole journey is about. Walking ourselves back to our most godliest self-mastery. But I believe that he got, in my opinion, and this is what I told him, I believe that he got egotistical. His pride got in the way. You wanted to look like the great white hype of your family. And in our reality, you hadn't made it to that level yet. And they saw that. And that's who they were responding to. So anyway, I told that story because you will know your assignments. You will know who you are to talk to. You will know who you are to teach. You will know who you are to assist. You will know who you are to guide. You will know who you are to be guided by. You will know who you are to be assisted by. You will know who everybody is in your life once you are really tapped in, tuned in, turned on, and connected. If you are trying to force feed your family information and enlightenment that you are receiving and they're not receptive to it, stop. because that just means that everything you're learning is strictly for you. It is not for anyone around you. And you will know when it is time for you to share, because these people will come under grace and in a perfect way, wanting what you have. You should never force feed. You should never force feed. Okay? If you have to force feed it, now you are infringing on those people's free will. Okay? It doesn't matter what they are doing. It doesn't matter if you see them drowning. They're alcoholics, they're crackheads, and you feel like you got information that could help them. If they didn't come to you specifically asking for what it is that you have, then you do not offer that. And a lot of people get hung up on that because they become these self-proclaimed spiritual gurus. Okay? And I believe everybody who initially enters onto their path goes through that phase. They go through this Messiah phase, because I went through it. I remember I wanted to teach everybody that I learned, or wanted to teach what I learned. I wanted to teach everybody that was in my circle the things that I was learning, because I'm thinking, oh my God, this is truth. This is knowledge. This is enlightenment. This is power. This is magic. It can help them. It has helped me. Oh my God. It didn't take me long, though, to pull back. It didn't take me long to pull back, because I'm already a skeptical person by nature. So if I try to give you something and you reject it, I don't try it again. I'll just go to the next person. If they receive it, that's what's up. So I didn't stay too long in places that didn't receive what I was given. Okay. But there are some people who are a little more aggressive. That's just who they are by nature. So those are the people that are going to force feed people their stuff. And we see it not just in spirituality, we see it in religion, we see it all over, really, to be honest. That's a trait that some humans are inundated with. And in my divine opinion, that has everything to do with them wanting to control the narrative, and then also wanting to be looked at as this God, right? So you have to check yourself. If you're going through that phase right now and you're experiencing what I just said, where your family, your friends, your lovers, whomever you consider close loved ones are not receptive to what you're feeding, and you're constantly still trying to feed them, you may need to check yourself. If you are around somebody that you feel like it's doing this, I'm telling you, this is why they're doing it. And maybe you can tell them, oh, I see why you're doing this. There's some things that you still need to work on within yourself, because you have a very controlling, this is what you can tell them. Well, actually, you don't have to tell them anything. I believe if you're here and you're watching this and you're resonating with it because you know people that do this, it's been done to you or it's being done to you, I'm just giving you understanding on why. And you don't have to say anything, or you can say whatever you want to say, because I think I was about to give you a script that you could say to them that would definitely get them together. But it's no need for me to give that. You already understand what they're doing. What I'm saying is probably confirmation, and you can answer it and respond to them accordingly. Okay, you can respond to them accordingly. But if you're here because you are the one who is waking up, okay, you are the one who's receiving knowledge in lightning speed. It's not because you are to go and share and teach it. It is your oversoul trying to catch you up. Okay, pretty much you probably got the calling to wake up years ago, and maybe you're just now tapping it. So now the universe is like, okay, we called you back in 2009. We called you back in 2010. We called you back in 2016. You finally, eventually have said yes. So now we got to catch you up to speed, because you didn't answer when we called you, and that's okay. Better late than never. But now we gotta get you together, and we gotta catch you up. So that quickening feeling, that because what's happening is you're probably receiving a lot of downloads, a lot of information, a lot of transmissions. You're learning. Your dreams are dreaming. There's been a lot of synchronicities. There's been a lot of signals and symbology. You're learning things lightning speed. And that's because, again, your oversoul is trying to catch you up to where you should have been had you said yes when they first called out to you. Okay? So don't worry about that. That's okay. However, it is not for you to go and run and force feed what you're learning onto other people. Okay? Now, let's talk about what people are learning, because everybody's calling is different. And everybody's going to enter a different door pertaining to their calling. Everybody's going to go to, you're gonna find your way to source energy through different means. Nobody's way is wrong, okay? I always tell clients who maybe come from a different perspective about how they got their awakening, because maybe they feel like their way was the right way. You know, I even speak to religious people because they feel their way is the right way. And I tell people, everybody got a Walmart in their city, right? Several Walmarts. Everybody got their own way to get to Walmart, right? Is anybody's way wrong? If I take this route and you take that route and you take that route and we all end up at the same destination, we got to the source, right? So that's how I always explain that. It doesn't matter how you get where you're going. We all getting and going to the same place, which is source. Some people go through it and go to it through witchcraft. Some people go to it and go through it through religion, Christianity, Jehovah's Witness, Seventh-day Adventist, Muslim, Buddhism, Hinduism. Okay, listen, voodoo, Kumbande. I mean, it's so many different paths to get to source. What people fail to realize is source ain't changed and it ain't moving. It's the center of what. Don't laugh at my pinky. It's the center of what we're all headed to. Yes, some people get that through Luciferian. Yes, some people get that through Satanism. It's all source. Source is one thing. It's one voice. It's one energy. Okay? So I don't knock what nobody does and what nobody believes, okay? Because every road leads to source. And how you get there and how I get there don't have to match. But guess what? We all gonna see each other eventually when we get to the destination. Okay? So your way is your way. That's the best way for you. Their way is their way, and that's the best way for them. And let me tell you something that happens that a lot of people just, I can't believe it. Sometimes you change paths. Huh? What about that? Sometimes you stay on a path for 10 years and one day you decide, I don't want to do this path no more. I'm going to jump and get on this path. Guess what? Them people ain't wrong either. Some people like the experience of multiple paths. Okay? You got them people that stay on one path forever. Okay? That's okay too. I just want you to understand that your path is cut out for you, and how you choose to unfold your journey is tailored to you. Never compare your journey to somebody else's, and never compare somebody else's journey to yours. That's where people get conflicted and confused. Then it becomes a competition. Then it becomes who's better. Okay? So the journey doesn't have to be chaotic. I mean, if that's what you want, trust and believe, the universe will bring you chaos. If that's what you choose, if that's the route that you feel like you need to bring you enlightenment, because there's enlightenment in chaos. But I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be. Okay? You can say yes to your journey and unfold it under grace and in perfect ways the way you are supposed to. I also believe that there are people who make their journeys way harder than they have to be because they're not obedient to what the universe shows them. There are certain things that automatically come with every path. One of those things is kind of what I mentioned earlier, revelation. Things are revealed to you. Okay? Once you say yes to the path, those things that were hidden from you are now revealed. Doesn't matter what path. It doesn't matter what path. It doesn't matter what path you choose. Things are revealed once you say yes to a path. Now, most people don't want to believe what that path is showing them. That's the work that you must do. Trusting the path that you have shown, that you were shown. Okay, what's the purpose in saying yes to a path if you're going to question everything that it tries to reveal to you? You might as well go back into the world and be duped with illusions, right? So let's talk about shadow work a little bit, okay? And I'm not going to stay on this for long, because shadow work is one of those things that you either do it or it's going to be forced on you anyway. And sometimes people are forced into shadow work and they don't even know that's what's happening. Okay, they think they're depressed. They think they're bipolar. They may think that they are dealing with some type of mental illness, and whole time it's not. You're going through your dark night of the soul. You're going through your awakening. You're going through your rebirth. You're having to deal with the demons that you created as you've come through life. Okay, you're having to face these things, these fears, your thoughts, your actions. Demons are just energies that we have created. They're us. They're just different things that we have encountered and created and not faced once we created them. So some people have more than others, right? So it's like that that little saying about having the monkeys on your back or the gorillas on your back, right? Some people got a whole lot of gorillas on their back and they got to deal with each gorilla for their gorilla to fall off. Well, no different than people saying they're facing their demons, their skeletons in the closet. We all have them. Nobody's exempt from that. However, there are people that are aware that that's what that is and they deal with them. Some people deal with them head on each time, and then some people wait until it overrides them, and then it becomes too heavy. Now they feel like they're sinking in quicksand because there's so many demons on them or in them that they've created and didn't release as they learned the lesson or as they experienced the experience. So you got to let stuff go as it comes. So that takes me back to what I was saying a few minutes ago, the art of detachment. Learning your lesson, then detaching from the experience. Because each experience that we experience, we're only supposed to get a lesson from it. I don't care what it is: death, love, loss, ups, downs, wins, losses, whatever. It's all an experience. You get what you're supposed to get from it, and then you release it. But what happens with humans? They don't release things. So what happens when you turn 50 and you ain't never released nothing? You have billions of experiences building up. And then when you hit that dark night of the soul, you hit that rebirth, you hit that awakening. And it's not this glorious feeling that Hollywood tries to show. No, it's heavy. It's dark, and it's all contingent upon how many experiences you never detached from. There are some people who have never detached from anything, so everything that they have ever experienced is on them. And when it's time to face them, it's too much. So they turn to alcohol. They turn to drugs. They adopt unhealthy habits, meaningless sex, pills, murder, suicide. So many ways that they deal with it because they never dealt with it. Okay? So, there's so much more I could say. I don't want this video to be long. I'm pretty sure that I will be back to do more one-on-ones like this, because as I mentioned earlier, it has been a while since I've done one of these. I really love doing my tarot readings, and for those of you who support them, thank you so much. Okay, but I do know that I've been led to come back. I've been led to do a lot of things. I was actually given via dream a name that I am supposed to rename my channel. Even though I love the Bald Head Hierophant, right? I love that name. It's so much power and so much history in that name, right? But I was led to rename my channel. So I'm still getting information about that. Okay, I love the name. I love the name that was given to me in the dream for the channel. I think I'm having to practice the art of detachment when it comes to the name that I've been operating under since well, not since I started the channel, because when I first started this channel, I started it under Bastet's Bowl of Bliss. Bastet's Bliss. Okay, Bastet, for those of you who don't know, is the feline goddess, the cat goddess, Kemetic, Egyptian, one and the same goddess, right? So I got the nudge to change it from that to the Bald Head Hierophant, and I call my channel a she's been the Bald Head Hierophant for 2 years now, I believe. Yeah, 2 or 3 years. But again, I got a message via dream, a download via dream, to change it to something else. And I know why. I understand why. But I like the Bald Head Hierophant. Anyway, so I just said that to say I'll be coming back on doing more of these little chit chats, because I do believe that many of you are going to experience a quickening within your personal life, where you're going to get jolted into an awakening. And it is going to be little messages like this that I feel like are going to land on the timelines of people who need quick understanding, so they can begin the research, so they can begin doing whatever their soul guides them to do after they get some type of understanding of what it is they are experiencing, right? Those of us who woke up prior to 2020, we've actually had time to flow with this energy, right? Like I said, I woke up in 2012, so it's been a long time coming, but that was wonderful, because I got an opportunity to just really engulf myself in knowledge and in understanding, and the internet wasn't as saturated with false information as it is now. So it's a lot harder for people who are just now waking up to distinguish and differentiate what's true, what's not. Also, this generation, and not necessarily this generation, let me not say that, but I don't want to take that off the table. This generation, but people who are waking up in this particular, at this particular time, don't necessarily have the patience to sit down and read the way those of us who woke up back in the, back then, right? So it's almost like, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, the universe is trying to catch you up. So you're going to get inundated with so much information that, and you have to be very careful where you get this information from. But the work that you must do is knowing truth. And you know truth by the way it feels. Now, this is where it gets tricky for a lot of people. If you've been living a lie, if you've been moving in your pride, if you've been moving in your ego, because remember, all of those come right before destruction. If you're ego led, you're pride led, you're vanity led, then you're not going to know truth, because you're not even being true to yourself. You're being led by outside energy. Okay, so it's very important for people to lay down. Okay, because listen, and I was about to say lay down things that don't serve them, but you know what's no longer serving you. You know what you no longer need. You know what you can't take into this realm with you, this new realm, this journey, this path, for those of you who have gotten the spiritual calling. But many of you try to infuse old you and the world with this new you, and you cannot do it. I've seen women try to incorporate being these sex vixens and then try to bring it over into their spiritual path. And baby, it's a sinking submarine. But you can't tell people what to do. You kind of just You kind of got to allow them to sink and then ask for help. Because what did I say earlier? You can't force what you know on other people. But if they ask for help, then that's your time to say, okay, boom, now let me tell you what you've been doing. Let me tell you how to fix it, or let me at least tell you how to get beyond it, right? But you can't bring your old worldly self into your newness. And I believe that's what a lot of people do. They're trying to infuse old worldly things that they were doing into this, and then starting YouTube channels, starting Instagrams, starting tweets, starting, is tweet even still a thing? Is Twitter still a thing? Matter of fact, I don't know if I've even seen anything on Twitter lately. I don't know. I'm just big on my YouTube, right? And a couple of my Instagram channels. But I don't know anything about I don't know nothing about TikTok. I'm not on there. Don't desire to be on there. But anyway, the only reason I said all of that is there's a lot of fake spiritualists who are not being true to themselves, who are still very much in the world, but they're starting channels and they got these mega followings, and people tend to follow those particular types of people, and those people are not even the real deal. They're not the real McCoy, yet they have people following them. So as I mentioned a few minutes ago, you have to know how to differentiate the sheep from the wolves, okay? And that comes from knowing thyself, being true to thyself, knowing what no longer works for you, knowing what never worked for you, and being willing to go through that wash and rinse cycle willingly. And when you come out, be okay with what was taken away. Many of you want to reach back out and grab those things that were taken away. No, once you go through that rinse and wash cycle, and you come out and you squeaky clean, and you realize that your husband ain't right there with you no more, you can't reach out and get him. It's a reason why the universe took him. It's a reason why the baby daddy gone. It's a reason why the wife is gone. It's a reason why the girlfriend left. It's a reason why you lost that job. It's a reason why your children don't resonate with you. I'm telling y'all, this is where it gets hard for people, because they can't detach from the things that they were attached to prior to their awakening. That awakening reveals everything. Now, does this mean you don't still love and have care and concern for the people that can't necessarily go on your path with you? Yes, you still gonna love your people. Yes, be there for them when they need you. But one thing I learned, and I share this often, and after I say this, I'm done. You're going to learn, or going to need to learn, how to love your people, but live your spiritual life around them. Around them. Because if they're not ready to wake up, and you try to pull them into your biosphere, you're going to cause yourself turbulence. Okay, you're going to cause yourself turbulence. You know the ones that are supposed to go with you, because they got the calling too. They got the awakening too. So 9 times out of 10, y'all are going to understand that each other got callings, but still, you're still going to want to do it your way. They're going to do it their way, and y'all are just going to have this innate understanding. This is going to be a very kindred energy, and you're not even going to want to be around each other. Listen. I said I was going to be done, but I got a few more minutes I can invest. That's another way that I know that people are not really awakened. Excuse me, the awakening calls for solitude. Sometimes it calls for isolation. 2 different things, both put you in a position where you are having to deal with self. One is dealing with self because you are at peace, and one is dealing with self because you aren't at peace. Isolation is dealing with yourself because you aren't at peace. So you're being set away to deal with that. Solitude is knowing that you no longer need anybody else's energy to feel whole and to feel complete. Okay, you have a blooming wellness that came from within. But when I see people who claim they have went through their awakening, or they're going through their awakening, and they got all of this enlightenment, yet they still desire, need, and have to have people around them, you ain't went through no darn awakening. But hey, I ain't here to judge, okay? I'm not here to judge. But I do know that as you're living your life right on around your loved ones, and you're helping them as needed, and say you got a cousin or uncle or aunt or whomever, they reach out to you and say, guess what, I'm going through the same thing, I've had my awakening, and they're not reaching out to you to say, ooh, let's hang up and be bosom buddies and go blah, 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 blah. A lot of times they're just letting you know, I see you, because I'm there too. And they're doing their work in their solitude, and you're doing your work in your solitude. And the times that y'all do come together, you probably will have a very high vibrational match. So y'all's conversation is going to be real high value. But that don't mean that y'all gonna want to link and be around each other every day. No, because the path to spiritual perfection is an individual path. It's really hard to tap all of the soul energy that you have access to when you are around other people. Okay, so it is a very solitary path. It really is. Okay, so be willing, be obedient, be observant, be aware, be true. Okay, all of those under grace and in a perfect way. Peace. Thanks for watching.